Gosh, these Space Marines are awesome. I do have to say, the Ultramarines are the best in the Imperium of Man. Oh, hey, what's up, writer? Just reading up on some Warhammer 40k. You know, it's one of my favorite hobbies to get into. No big deal. Reading, walking, 2 actions. So, you might be asking now, what time is it? Well, if you don't know, I'll tell it to you right now. My name is Chris Matico, and it's story time. What's up, writers? My name is Chris Matico, as you know, and this is Storytime, Episode 4. Now, in Episode 4, we're going to be discussing about plot. Now, a lot of people think plot is all the actions and all of, the reasons why. Well, actions, yeah, that's correct, but it's not the why. So, I want to explain to you right now what plot is. So, in order to do that, let's hit the drawing board. Alright, so guys, as I said earlier, we're going to be discussing about plot. Now, in order to understand plot, we need to know what plot actually is. Makes sense. So, what is plot? Well, plot is the actions that happen in a story, the sequence of actions that happen. But to put in simpler terms, if you want to dive deeper into it, it's the tactics that the characters take in order to achieve their goal. So, a lot of what writers have in problems is that they don't know the difference between plot and problem, which are two separate things. So the thing is what I consider it is the what versus the why, action versus reason. And to differentiate this, as I said earlier, plot is the actions. So objectives, obstacles, tactics, objectives that the characters will take. The obstacle that is in front of them could be the antagonist, which will also have an objective to destroy the protagonist of what they want. And the tactics that they take all goes into plot. And the other thing is what's very important to learn about plot is that it's basically the skeletal structure of your story. So here's the basic setup of what every single story is based around. Doesn't matter if you're doing Campbell's theory, doesn't matter if you're doing Shakespeare's theory, which I don't even know if he has a theory, but you know what? There's no real science, but if you examine every story, every plot will have this setup. You'll have a hook, a plot turn, a pinch, a midpoint, another pinch, another plot turn, and a resolution. Now what this means is that the hook, basically, it's the first thing that grabs the reader, and it's not like, it's introducing the story. Plot turn 1 is, alright, we're setting the problem now. How's this going to turn out? The pinch is made to add pressure. It's like, oh boy, I don't know how he's going to make out of this one, even in the first part. Which will lead to the midpoint in which they're in the middle of their journey, and this is basically where stuff starts getting revealed. And then pinch 2 is basically more pressure, which leads into plot turn 2, which basically is in the jaws of defeat. Like, oh boy, are they going to get out of this? How are they going to do this? Are they going to make it to the end? And if they make it to the end, no matter what way, well, they always make it to the end, but whatever way they do it, that is the resolution. And this goes for tragedies, sci-fi, fantasy. Any story that you see has this setup. And as I said earlier, I started for you guys. All stories follow this method. Now, for an example, we're going to be looking at a very good sci-fi novel by the name of Ender's Game. Alright guys, so as I said earlier, Ender's Game is going to be our example for the plot of structure, for the structure of plot, I should say. Now, what is the hook of Ender's Game? Well, the hook, at least from what I see, basically you can see this however way you wish, but it's going to be very similar into what you do, kind of like what people do with Campbell. People have different opinions, but this is actually the main way that it goes, at least to me and to a lot of other people. So the hook, it's when Ender gets his monitor removed. So the monitor basically is when he's normally civilized and in school and whatnot, he has a monitor planted into the back of his head, and when he gets that taken out, it's like a rebirth for him in a way. And that is where The hook goes into plot turn 1, where plot turn 1 is when Colonel Graff invites Ender to battle school. When Colonel Graff enters Ender's home, and he pretty much says, hey, we tested you out, we saw what you were like in, in cadet school or in school, whatnot, and guess what? You're going to go to battle school. And Ender's shocked by all this, but he ends up going. So pinch 1 is beating up Bernard, and he's joining Salamander Army too. Because Ender is very smart, going into Salamander Army is kind of the first plot turn where he first becomes a soldier, and so is beating up Bernard because it's one of the first encounters aside from him beating up Stiltskin, who is in school with Ender during the beginning. So this is going to go right into our midpoint, which Ender gets his own army eventually after going through so many different armies such as Rat Army, Salamander Army, you name it. He finally gets his own army, Dragon Army. And basically, Dragon Army's doing pretty good. They're beating everyone in battle school. And then that leads us right into pinch 2, which pretty much leads to the fight with Bonzo, and also him getting into command school. Fight with Bonzo is very important in the story because it shows that Ender's willing to do anything to keep himself alive, and it also shows his smart wits. And because he goes to command school, not even in the pre-command, he's pretty intelligent. So we're going to see how this rolls out in plot turn 2. Plot turn 2, where he finally goes to command school and he does the simulations, but the final simulation is, oh boy, is he going to pass this? Is he going to become a commander? And guess what? He does. But in this process, he finds out, wait, these weren't simulations. This was actually real. We actually killed off the buggers. Oh boy. So this turns into right in our resolution, where he actually meets one of the queens of the bugger race. And he actually now wants to find a new home for the buggers. Now that's just a brief, explanation. I know there's a lot of subplot that goes into it with Valentine and Peter. But then, again, it's the basic plot turns, and with the story of Ender, speaking that it's Ender's game. So what's the main point I'm trying to get to you guys? Well, the main point I'm trying to get to you guys today is that plot is action. The structure of plot is a sequence of the actions that occur in your story. Basically, it makes up your story. It's a sequence of actions that take place, and it's very important to know that. Because if you don't have plot, if you don't have actions, it doesn't matter how cool your characters are, it doesn't matter how cool the setting it is. If nothing's happening and there's all description, guess what? People are going to fall asleep. That's the blunt way of saying it, but people won't be interested in the novel or the book that you're writing or the story that you're writing. That's just the basic truth. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found this informal. Please subscribe, comment, like this video, and subscribe, writers. And you know what, writers? No matter what happens, keep on writing. Love it. Love you guys. Keep on writing.